American Craftsman podcast is sponsored by Hayfla. Hayfla offers a wide range of products and solutions for the woodworking and furniture making industries, from hinges and drawer slides to connectors and dowels, sandpaper, shop carts, wood glue, and everything in between. Exclusive product lines such as Lux LED lighting and Slido door hardware ensure that every project you create is built to last. Learn more at hayfla.com. I feel good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
We're joined today by the illustrious Dr. Butts himself, Ed Johns.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that calls you Dr. Butts.
Right.
But you have sort of this alter ego, buttjoints.com.
Right. Yeah, it's just 2x4s and drywall screws covered in Type-On 3.
What about duct tape? You use any duct tape?
Maybe that's a 2024 goal. Introduce more duct tape.
Yeah, some of that T-Rex tape.
Need a new sponsor for the coming year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Duck brand.
Oh, yeah. Duck. It always gets me.
Yeah. Yeah, which came first, the duck or the duct?
I think it was always duct with a T, and then we mispronounced it and always called it duct tape.
But there is a brand.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they piggybacked on the vernacular.
Well, this is one of those opportunities where we have this.
This thing called the Google Web.
Yeah. Let's see.
What came first, the duck or the duct?
When did duck brand tape?
Yeah, somebody's already Googled it.
Yeah. 1984. So, yeah. Long after the advent of, that's when was duct tape invented? Iconic tape was invented by an Illinois mom named Vesta Stout and who wanted to save soldiers' lives in World War II. Year was 1943, and Stout, who had two sons serving in the U.S. Navy, was working at the Green River Ordnance Plant near Amboy, Illinois.
You ever look up the history of Band-Aids?
I don't think so.
It was like a guy and his wife was getting all these like cuts from like cooking and sewing and stuff. He's like, he came up with this idea to put a little bandage on tape.
Huh.
When I think of that, I'm like, well, what were they doing before?
Right. Like tying a piece of gauze.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Okay.
It was like wrapping gauze.
Yeah.
Just bleeding all over the place.
When was that? Like the 40s or 50s or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like a Johnson & Johnson thing.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
When was the Band-Aid invented? 1920. Band-Aid was invented in 1920 by a Johnson & Johnson employee, Earl Dixon, in Highland Park, New Jersey.
Wow.
Shout out to New Jersey for his wife, Josephine, who frequently cut and burned herself while cooking. Prototype allowed her to dress her wounds without assistance. So, because I guess you'd have to hold a piece of bandage and then wrap tape around it.
So he was just tired of helping her, so he invented something.
Listen, woman, if I got to wait an extra 30 seconds for my dinner, we're going to have a problem.
Looking at that picture, do you guys remember the metal containers?
I was just
Band-Aids?
about to say that. Yeah, I remember when they came with the little flip lid.
Yeah. Those were pretty cool, those containers.
Yeah.
Now everything's in just like a little flimsy cardboard box.
Right.
You can buy like fancy Band-Aids in they're not, I'm sure they have like that too, but Hunter has some, kids love fucking Band-Aids.
Yeah.
With the stuff on it, right? With the pictures.
Yeah, and they want a Band-Aid for everything. So I try and tell, I'm like, Band-Aids are for blood. If you have a scratch, that doesn't warrant a Band-Aid. Like a Band-Aid is to cover up something that's bleeding. Maybe I'm being a dick, but
it does make the complaining stop. So
yeah. But it's like, I don't, when you're a parent, you overanalyze all these stupid little things. Like, I don't want him, going through life thinking he needs a Band-Aid for. Anyway, my wife bought some Band-Aids and they're in like a metal thing like that, but it's like a separate lid.
Okay.
And it doesn't stand up like that. It lays flat. Anyway.
I like the cloth kind now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They stick better.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could put one of those on all day and work in the shop.
Yeah. The plastic ones that are good are like a clear, like a clear. I think they're like the waterproof ones.
Yeah,
those hold on pretty good.
Yeah,
for swimming.
Yeah, yeah, and they're sealed on all sides. That's the one thing about the Band-Aid is that this right here, it's like this goes edge to edge when really
needs a little bit of adhesive on the sides.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you got to use two and overlap them if it's a large wound.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went real off the rails about 40 seconds in.
Well, it's not an unrelated topic to wood shop.
Yeah.
We go through our share of Band-Aids. When we don't have Band-Aids here, I'm like the paper towel and masking tape.
Like black electrical tape so you can get some tension on it.
Well, yeah. Because mostly it's not so much the cut that's bothering you, but you can't get blood everywhere. Right. It's like you start looking down and you're leaving stains on your work.
Install day by usually about 8:15. Rob has bled on something.
Oh yeah. Well, when I lived over here, we put carpet in the baby's room, and we went over to the guy by the shop. Right, it's like DNR flooring or whatever.
Oh yeah. Manny used to work there.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there working from home, and like the guys were going in and out, and I see one guy run out of there just holding his hand. I'm like, oh shit. And
carpet knife.
Yeah, he hooked himself real good. Oh. So they cleaned it up except for like 3 little drops on the. I'm like, oh okay, no. And like I would have helped you, but I guess some people would go nuts,
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the carpet knife. That's
those are like some gnarly razor blades.
Right. They're the hook, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like when they're ripping the stuff out. I was gonna say we have that green tape. I like that stuff. I don't know what it's called. It's like It's almost like gauze but it's not thick like that. It's like a 1-ply gauze that sticks to itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell it's called.
Oh, like Kerflex or something like that?
Let me grab it.
Okay.
Yeah, that stuff's great because you can wrap.
Right.
And
get some tension.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like almost like athletic tape, right?
So that works pretty good. And it has it's almost like a tack cloth.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it sticks to itself, but the edge always wants to come up. So it's like I use this, and then I'll put some electrical tape or something like that around.
You got to secure it somehow.
Yeah. But the electrical tape right on the skin, that residue that it leaves, that stuff doesn't want to come off.
The best is when you have to do it nice and tight, so you can't bend your finger.
Like the tip of my finger is getting awfully purple. Well, you were an EMT.
Yeah, for 10 years. So
you're like, these idiots don't know how to dress a wound.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've seen it all.
I mean, yeah. So there's tips you pick up. If you're wrapping a limb, right, you start small and go large. Because if you go the other way, it falls on itself.
Oh, yeah. That's good. So, good pointer right there.
Yeah.
Prepare for the impending apocalypse.
Right. Yeah. Tourniquets,
Or what is it when the world doesn't end, but it just gets the dystopia? Yeah.
Dystopian future.
Yeah. Oh, man. So you hear that, people? When the zombie apocalypse, when the zombie dystopia sets in, wrap your wounds from small to large.
Yeah. Israeli bandages are cool, too. They look like an ace bandage with a pad on it, but then there's a plastic, almost like a hoop, and you can twist it to get tension on it.
Oh.
So it's not quite a tourniquet, but you can do a tension bandage, so a pressure bandage.
So you kind of isolate the area?
Yeah, or get pressure to help stop without...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, I've seen several woodworkers that keep a tourniquet in the shop.
Right.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
No.
So the thing is you can buy it, but you got to practice with it.
Yeah.
Because when your femur's squirting, you're not going to know what's going on.
Yeah. You're lucky if you haven't passed out by that point.
Right. Yeah. You got about a minute, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
It's like the Heimlich. You know what I mean? If you don't practice.
Right. Yeah. And so I went to a combat life-saving class once with a Navy corpsman, and he had a saying that was, "You never rise to the occasion, you fall to your highest level of training."
Wow. Yeah.
So that was intense. We were out in Connecticut, and we were doing. Well, this is good for a woodworking podcast, right? We were doing like scenarios, and he had like rubber guns and like explosions and IEDs, and this guy was a great instructor. His name's Chris Stoner.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's out in like Montana or somewhere. But like if you got a group of guys together and fly him out, he'll bring all this stuff. But what he did was he altered the scenarios to the students' level of training. So if there was just like, some guys off the street, he'd be like, oh, this guy got hit by a car, help him. Whereas like I made the mistake of being like, yeah, I was an EMT, and there's a guy who was like an operating room tech, so we're not scared of like blood or anything. So he gave us this situation where there's like people shooting each other, and there's a bomb going off, and we're like, ah, crap, we should have told this guy. So it's so real that people passing by, because it was at a karate studio that's in like one of those business development parks that looks like a storage unit.
Oh, yeah.
So they're there on like a Sunday, and some people were just there like checking on. They called the cops on us because they thought it was real.
Oh my god! Yeah, I feel like you need like a big sign or something that says like training in progress.
Yeah, so he had called them and said like we're doing some messed up stuff, but apparently with the shift change or something, the message never got there. Oh. So yeah, it was a good class. It was worth the money.
Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I when I was diving, I took my rescue diving certificate class, but it was like that if you don't do it, I mean, like there's no way. Like I can remember like little bits and pieces, but I don't think I could save anybody.
Yeah. Did you ever see Deepest Breath on? I think it's on Netflix.
No.
It's a documentary about these people who are in competitions. See us far down in the water.
Oh, free diving?
Free diving, yeah, and it's insane. Like some of them will come up and they're just brain dead. They're done.
Don't they go down for like 20 minutes or something? Like
I think it's like 8, 9, something like that.
That's crazy,
like,
isn't it?
They're like 300 meters down or something.
Oh
God. And they said the pressure just with all the water is just.
Yeah, you have to go up in stages, otherwise you get the bends.
And I guess it's like chasing the dragon, right? So like they go lower and lower and lower, and it's like, I got to do this,
Yeah, like how do you know what your breaking point is until you just die?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess that was too far.
That's like those guys that do the rock climbing without, ropes and stuff. I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah. I saw a video the other day. I think it was on Instagram. Instagram now, it's like, I don't know about you. You probably aren't on enough, but it's like I see like 6 people die on Instagram daily now.
Jeez, what are you watching?
It just comes up. But this lady, I think it was El Capitan.
Yeah.
She was protesting someone who got like a climber who got arrested or something like that, like a free climber. So she. Oh no! I think it was another base jumper. She base jumped off of it, and her parachute never opened, and she just like hit the ground.
Jeez.
So in college, I went down to Embry-Riddle for a year to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So in Flagler in Florida, they have a skydiving school. So I was like, I'm going to do that, And there's 2 ways you can do your first parachute jump. You can do tandem where you're just strapped to a guy. They're like, sign here, let's go. Then there's called AFF, Advanced Freefall. So it's an 8-hour class. Then you jump out with 2 instructors, and they're just physically holding on to your jumpsuit. And then once you pull the cord, you're on your own.
Huh.
So I'm like, well, I'm going to do that. If I'm going to die, I'm going to be strapped to another guy.
Yeah, it's like, come on. I feel like it's, a little more in your control, too. It's like, I don't have to worry about this guy.
So anyway, we're going through the class. And of course, it's like 6 a.m. and like, I'm at college. She's like, I'm not paying attention, And so then after lunch, they're like, all right, you learned everything. And they're like real cool about it, too. They're like, yeah. So if all else goes wrong and you're going to hit and you have both your chutes are done, well, if you're going to land in water or land on land because you might drown. And if,
you get knocked out.
And if all else really fails, aim for the most expensive car in the parking lot, So anyway, the instructor that I was supposed to go with hit his face on the plane. It's called a sky van. So it's like a refrigerator with a door that opens up the back, and then everybody just jumps out. So I guess he jumped too high or something, and he smashed his face up, and apparently they had to wash the blood off the plane.
Oh, wow.
So I guess it's like a hippie thing where all these skydivers, they just hang out at the airport. So they found a guy named Laddie, And this dude just in Vans and like cargo shorts. He's got his sunglasses on the back of his head, but he's got his instructor license. Like, we got this guy going with you.
Oh, God.
We got to fill in, a stand-in.
And he was cool as shit. And he's like, are you nervous? I'm like, yeah, a little bit. And he's like, yeah. So that's the number one rule is if you don't get the butterflies, it's time to stop because you're going to do something stupid.
Yeah. That's with anything in life, I think.
Yeah. So then I find out, like, in the line, this dude got arrested for, like, all these base jumping off, like, cooling plant towers, and he's jumped off that Jesus statue in Brazil or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, this guy knows what he's doing, you know? And so they give the students the biggest parachutes possible because it's just like, you're just dumb thinking around. This dude has a parachute that looks like a camelback.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, but that was fun. We were talking about base jumping, so
yeah, those like base jumpers. Some of them are just like holding it in their hand,
right? And they throw it.
Yeah, they're just like. So.
You're not going to catch me doing that. Like right. I would probably skydive.
Right.
I'm not going to like go like seek it out, but like if I was somewhere and they're like, hey, you want to go skydiving? I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But I'm definitely not going to base jump.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a lot of experience for that. So I
guess maybe.
But so you don't hit something.
If I skydived, maybe I'd be like, oh man, now I'm going to base jump. But
yeah, I think it's like 10,
a gateway drug.
10 or 12 jumps before you get your basic license. And then there's different categories of what you're allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, once, maybe twice is probably good enough for me. But yeah.
It's like scuba diving or like, I don't know what else would be comparable. It's like, you got to have a pretty good expendable income to be getting into these kind of hobbies. That's why
I stopped.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a $5,000 trip.
Yeah.
And my wife didn't want to go. So it's like, that's a hard thing to navigate. You know, it's like,
I'm going to go take this trip. You stay home.
I'm going to go to Grenada and scuba dive for a week with my friends for $5,000. And, you know,
plus all the training and everything. It's like, it's not even like you can just go and scuba dive. You have to take all these classes.
And you got to stay up on it.
Yeah. So the barrier to entry is like really high. You
got to have all the gear.
Yeah.
It was way too expensive of a hobby for somebody like me. And, it was an experience. I'll say that. I mean, I did do some deep dive and went down to like 120 feet to see this shipwreck and stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't think I would do it again.
Yeah. Like how long you would probably have to get recertified, right?
Yeah, I probably would. I don't know how long those things last, but I wouldn't even feel safe.
Yeah.
Going out now.
So if you like go to the Bahamas, you can't just like go scuba diving.
No.
Huh.
Yeah, like sometimes they do the class like in the pool at the hotel or something.
Yeah.
I've seen they have those things. It's kind of like a helmet.
Yeah.
Or it's like maybe it like covers like half of your body. It's like
there's like an air bubble in there, right?
Yeah.
But aren't you like sitting on like a scooter or something?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking that, but I thought I'm like, sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like you could probably do something like that, but
Yeah, because the certification is, it's like a pretty, I don't remember exactly how long it took, but, it went over a couple of months.
Yeah.
There's a lot of book learning and each stage has, a practical where you go in the water and you got to, perform certain things. And it's, the one thing I do remember is that, you have like you have the octo which is your spare thing. So you always have a buddy that you're diving with. And it's like, let's say something happens to your oxygen, you're supposed to be able to share mine. But the test disallows that. You have to share your actual oxygen. So you, let's say you're out of oxygen. I breathe for 10 seconds. Then I give you my oxygen for 10 seconds.
Right.
And then when you get, the first thing you do when you get the oxygen is you have to exhale because there's water in it now. And it's the longest 10 seconds.
So it has a one-way valve so you can blow water through it.
Right. So you get it, you put it in your mouth and you exhale, blow it out, and then you can breathe. And you get, you can breathe for 10 seconds. So you do that for a couple of minutes and it's really a mental game,
I've never really done anything that requires like that kind of like, taking a bunch of class. I mean, I guess like getting like a hunting license would be the closest thing.
That's just one class though.
Now I guess it's all online. I think I went to a couple.
Oh yeah, because I remember that there was like an online class, and then there was a field day where they teach you how to like climb over a fence. And
they're like, you got to safely go under a fence, over a fence. You got to shoot a couple clay pigeons.
Yeah, put your gun on the other side before you fall on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I did that back in like 1998 or 1999. So it's
right. What's like even like the motorcycle class, right? Like if I got another motorcycle, I'd go back to the safety class, just and then like I don't have to pass it, but at least because they don't just do the minimum, they teach you like some defensive driving too,
Yeah, the pylons,
right.
And
we've had a couple people who ride motorcycles on, and the general consensus is that it's mighty scary out there. I mean, it's scary enough in a car.
Exactly. That's me too. It's like I won't go back on a bike on the roads. It's not worth it.
Yeah. And you see a lot of dickhead motorcycle drivers too.
Oh, yeah. I hate that. Yeah. I mean, especially when I rode.
Yeah.
Because it gives off all the wrong info.
Leaving here like on a Friday in the summer, it's because, I'm going south on 36 and it's only a couple miles, but it's like the super speedway out there.
Yeah. Stoplight races.
Right. Yeah. I live right between two lights on 36. Like I live on the corner of the highway. And
it's brutal, right?
Like we try and eat dinner outside in the summertime sometimes, and it's like nearly impossible. It's just like and they're in packs of 3 or 4.
Yeah. I'm not much further off the road, so we share that same agony.
It's crazy.
There was that guy that died a couple of years ago. They were paving the roads. And there was like a 5 or 6 inch difference.
Oh, wow.
And he tried to go up instead of down, and that didn't work out for him.
Jeez. Yeah, when I was living in Highlands, this is probably going back at least 5 years, 5 to 10 years. A guy died on the bridge on a motorcycle.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. There was like a bunch of I think he like plowed into the back of a car. He was probably trying to split lanes, going real fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. That corner by my house, Chestnut.
Oh, yeah.
There was an accident there last night. There's like at least one a month. At least one a month there.
That dumps out like right in front of that side entrance on Wilson Ave to Food Town. It's that it connects Main Street and Wilson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'd be in the shop and we'd just hear like and we're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, what time is it? Because like when school lets out and stuff like that, and the way the lights are timed, the intersection's too close to the intersection at 36.
Yeah.
So the cars back up and everybody's trying to sneak out, and it's just
people coming from the wet side.
Yeah.
They're doing like,
it's foot on the gas.
Say 100 yards from the other side. Let's say 200 yards from the other side of Wilson Avenue to Chestnut. They're doing 60 by the time they get to Chestnut. They're just like, and it's like a little bit of like a hill because the highway's crowned, So they come up over this blind thing doing 60, and some grandpa pulls, he's trying to get to Food Town.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's foot on the gas. So like the reaction time just isn't enough to get your foot onto the brake. And they always wind up in Ed's yard.
Yeah. Or somebody will be pulling out of Food Town trying to go across onto Chestnut and the traffic's backed up. That's when they really get walloped.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. So, Ed, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I consider myself a woodworker, mostly hobbyist. I'm a software systems engineer for a real job. And then, so I got into like the Instagram maker community a couple of years ago. Previous to that, I just did like homeowner stuff and renovated a couple bathrooms, and so I started off, gathering tools and things out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of years ago, I moved into a place that had a garage, so I could start doing more of the stuff, the hobbyist woodworker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got involved with like the maker camp stuff and the clubhouse guys, and now I'm just kind of having fun with it all. I do have buttjoints.com, which
I've been on it.
Yeah. So right now,
Actually, there's
yeah, we have a sticker
right there, right below Matt from First Dues.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, above.
Nice above. So I mean, it's funny, right? And it's catchy, and you remember it. But like when I started, you'd watch like all these YouTube videos of like English guys like making hand cut dovetails, and they're explaining
Paul Sellers and like.
Paul Sellers isn't too bad, but there's like guys.
Yeah, he's not super pretentious.
Yeah, and it's like this is the perfect squeeze out ratio, and you need a degree in carpentry to make this. And it's like, fuck that,
the squeeze out.
So like, it's kind of like a reminder to like not be too pretentious about it. You know, like just make something that you like. So,
and like I like the humility factor of it because that's something that's
lacking.
Yeah, well, that it grinds my gears. Huge is like the pretentious hobbyist woodworker who takes themselves way too seriously.
Right.
It's like, listen, man, like, come on.
Well, and if you think about it, what's a butt joint, right? Like kids put stuff together all the time. That's woodworking, right? You make a shelf with nails and like, so just go back to basics, right?
Yeah.
And I have fun with it with type on and like the feuds we get into with like Hatch and all that.
Yeah.
And so there was that whole era where I was just making dumb reels of pallet wood, and
I did like that.
So
I thought there was something there.
Yeah, I gotta bring that back in a new format, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you come up with like a formula where like you have a set storyboard, and it's like each reel uses the same layout, but you just change the subject matter.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm always doing something different, so it's almost like a Chris Powell's just like, that's what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to kind of get to the point where like I'll make a bunch of cutting boards or something, and like make 10 or 15 of them. Hey, here they are. Just do like drops, just to kind of get it to pay for itself. But I don't have any illusions of actually like quitting my job over this or anything. But
I think that's a mistake that a lot of people, or like a misguided fantasy that a lot of people have.
Right.
It's like the restaurant business.
Yeah. Like I like to fish. It's like I know that. Well, maybe it's not a good analogy. Like if I was a professional fisherman, I don't think it would ruin it for me. But it's like a lot of people enjoy doing woodworking, but it's like if you turn it into a job,
right?
It's not as much fun anymore.
Yeah. Well, if you need to do it to eat,
yeah. Like this, having this as a job comes with a lot of
right.
There are other stressors and factors,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hear you guys in like Clubhouse and stuff, and it seems like the work's fine, but it's like dealing with the customers and doing this and subcontractors and deliveries. That seems like it really drags you down.
Yeah. It's like, when something goes wrong, you have to figure out a solution. There's, you don't have as much flexibility because you're building something for a client. It's like we showed them this rendering of what it's going to look like. It's like we can't just go changing things around because we screwed up. It's like we either got to make it again or come up with a really good solution that's going to be undetectable.
It'd be like if you guys had like a salesman and then like somebody to talk to the customers, and you guys could just build the stuff.
Yeah,
like a designer sort of is a go between.
Yeah, it's not even so much like I like communicating with the clients and because coming from like the restaurant business, it's like pretty similar. But yeah, it's just all the stuff that goes wrong.
Right.
The clients are usually very nice.
Okay.
So I think we get some people who suck, but we try and like head them off at the beginning.
Well, you already know how it's going to go, right? Like,
yeah, it's like, well, we could see that we are not going to want to work with you.
Yeah. I think I'm done with customers forever. Just between like, because maybe because you were in fine dining, right? Like I was in like, delivery, pizza guy and all that kind of stuff. And then now I deal with customers on the software side of things. And it's like, I don't want to go in a negative light, but you know how
welcome to
welcome to our podcast.
It's just like your top 10% of customers you love, and then there's like the middle group that give you all the problems. So it's like, oh yeah, that's true.
So you're a problem solver. You're a tech guy.
Yeah. So I'm in the fulfillment group, which is like a little bit of customer service. There's tech support. We do stuff for like reporting for management, chase the payments. So it's, you know what? You ever see the movie Office Space?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so the guy who gets fired first.
Oh yeah,
The guy who makes the game.
He's like, I'm a people person.
Yeah. So yeah, you never want to let the engineers talk to the customers directly. So I'm the guy in between. Yeah.
A jump to conclusions, Matt.
Right. Yeah, that's my joke. I'm the guy that gets fired first. You know? So,
that's a good movie.
right.
Yeah, that's a great movie. I love the scene where they're bashing up the copier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, John, JCH Cabinets, he actually, he like recreated that with a smoke detector.
Okay.
He reposted it recently. It was like 10 years ago or something, or maybe 5 years ago. Cause he works in all these houses and they can't like pull the tab out or something until inspection, something like that. So they're always beeping, like low battery.
Okay.
And it was like always in the back of his video. So he like made this is before Reels even existed. Just an Instagram video post of him just like smashing with the same music, like smashing up this smoke detector. We had talked about doing it with the Oliver planer that we had. Right. Yeah. But a couple of people were like, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Like,
whatever happened to, I don't know if we're going to go there. Never mind.
The thing with Matt Viz.
Yeah.
That just popped into my head too.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I think I sent him $20.
I didn't.
Matt, if you're listening, you're supposed to smash up that router plane. Or was it definitely that he was going to destroy it?
I thought that's what it was.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. But maybe he's busy with his new shop.
Yeah, I'm going to have to text him.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to see that. Apparently, they redesigned that router plane.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't buy one, so I don't have any skin in the game.
Me neither. That J. Katz Moses. Yeah. What a faker. Anyway. What was I going to say? Something popped into my head before. Oh, you've been getting in big time into 3D printing.
Oh, yeah. So I got the bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
So no skill required.
That thing is like taking the 3D printing world by storm.
Well, I mean, you've had enders before, and you know how fidgety they are. This is open a model and hit print.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
I've been watching this YouTube channel with my son called Wicked Makers, and they do all this like they'll take like an animatronic from not animatronic, whatever, one of these things from Spirit of Halloween, like a skeleton that like moves around, and then they turned it into Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's, which is like, you know, this thing that all these kids like right now. It's like a scary Chuck E. Cheese character kind of thing. But they like 3D print all these things, and he's like, maybe you could 3D. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to get back into this end, like that, you know, the end, because you had one. The ender could be like a black hole of headaches.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you buy it for $200, and then you need the silent board and the touchy thing, and then you need to level it. So you're in it for $300, $400, $500 before you even have something that's reliable.
And then even with all that stuff, it's like, you know, when you break a belt, it's not like it's very easy to change, you know? So that's, we had two when we were doing all that stuff. We sold one. I still have one, and it has a broken belt. And actually, the original, I forget what happened. The original one I bought from a website that seemed like a little shady. So I canceled it, but then it showed up and I forget, but my mother-in-law has that one, and they never even opened it. So I'm like, there is like a brand new Ender 3 sitting in a box. Like, you know, maybe.
I don't know, just throw it on Facebook and buy the bamboo, man.
Yeah. I don't want to drop like $650-$750.
Yeah. But I don't know. By the time you get done like fidgeting with it, like I don't know.
Yeah, I'd sooner just not do any 3D printing.
Yeah, that's true. So like, I think there's a whole thing like, you're just gonna make toys with it and you contribute to the plastic pollution or whatever. But but like, if you see like with Corey Odyssey, like he's making like
fixtures
functional like shop things.
We've used it for stuff like that.
Right.
We have screw boxes that I made 3 years ago that we still use every day. You know, and you know, we could have bought them somewhere, but
Yeah.
At the time, we didn't know what,
Well, yeah, and I think the biggest thing is like modeling, right? Like Fusion or whatever. Like if you get that part down, it's like, oh well, all right, just let it print overnight and I have it tomorrow. Like I think you just have to use that in the right setting, and then it could actually be like an asset to the tools you already have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's great for like doing dust collection fitting.
Yeah,
or
that's
stuff
what
like
I was
that.
going to say. For like all the weird vacuum adapters.
Even like those paint stand things.
The triangles.
Yeah. Yeah, well, our buddy Dino, he printed out these ones that have like a slot and like an elevated part, so you can move them around, like to make a painting turntable. He uses a bamboo for that. He 3D prints so much because he makes all these vacuum pads and stuff. He's coming out with a dust collection port for like a Bloom mini press. Yeah, I'd like to do something with our hinge boring machine. That thing makes so many shavings.
Yeah,
I bored 5 doors yesterday.
Yeah, and
it was like a mountain of oak chips. That thing is nice though.
Yeah, it's weird though because the dust port opening is flat against the back.
Yeah,
it makes it so the machine has to come out.
Yeah, I think we could probably. It had to be 3D printed, some kind of thing that comes off to the side. That or just drill a hole into the side.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Hole saw, 4-inch hole saw, hole right in the side. Because
to put it in the back, it's crazy. I mean, how much room you'd need.
I think they figure, kind of like a miter saw, like a lot of times people have. We only have that 24-inch deep cabinet there, so. What are you working on now?
Well, I'm getting a laser hopefully tomorrow.
Nice.
So, CO2. So I just have the diode now, so I'm just kind of messing with that. So, deal popped up where I can get a used CO2 from one of our buddies, and so I'm looking forward to the speed of that.
Yeah.
But then there's like I got to put antifreeze in it and kind of learn how to focus things.
Oh yeah, because
so
unconditioned in the
I think that it's not like a skill, but it's definitely knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So I got to learn all that. So.
Keith.
Yeah.
What are your plans for the laser?
Well, engrave stuff like cutting boards and things like that. So I think I can make a little bit of money there. But I'd like to do like maybe router templates and maybe a little bit of boxes or like the tab and slot kind of things. So it'd be nice to get like 2 or 3 products that are mine.
Yeah.
Just kind of batch them out,
That's something that we've been talking about. We have this laser and it sits there most of the time. We use it a lot for like making, like you saw those oak cabinets that we just did. They have that cut out in the toe.
Right.
Like I just cut a template on the laser and use it for that. It's so much faster for me to just come in here and draw it and send it to the laser than it is to actually, because the old school way would be we would draw it on a piece of 1/4 inch. We would cut it out close. We would sand up to the line.
Until you get there.
Yeah.
More accurate too.
And that's the thing. It never comes out perfect. Like those came out.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, perfect.
Right.
It just takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah. I remember when I was making speakers all the time, stuff like that, trying to make a good template.
Circle, yeah.
Oh, there's always like one spot that, and it just translates to everything that you do.
Yeah. The hardest part is like if you have a radius and it meets up with a straight line.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Getting that
there's always that
transition.
There's always a little.
Yeah. You either go past or you don't go far enough.
Right.
And then you try and sand it out. And then
it always looks weird.
Yeah. I hate that. That drives me insane.
I learned about the grid array function on Lightburn. So you can take a shape and then there on the left, it looks like a grid.
Oh yeah.
So you touch it and then you tell it how many rows and columns and spacing.
Yep.
And then it does it for you. Like that would be good for something like a speaker grate.
Mm-hmm.
And you could use like any shape you want, like initials or, I'm like, oh, that may be something.
So that's how we do the salt boxes.
But even just like this Lightburn program, like there's so much here than you would never know until you need to do it and then you Google it.
Yeah. Oh, so this is showing up on the Momport that went back. I get an email this morning from Momport. Thanks for joining our affiliate program. We've automatically created an account for you. and a coupon code. I'm like, really?
Oh, you have to make a reel of that. You sure about that?
Yeah.
Audio?
Oh my God. I got to somehow change this back to the correct bed size, but yeah, that's how I have this. I think this is the original, and then I have an array. Yeah, this is just 4 rows.
So you're doing another 500 pretty soon.
Yeah, the pre-sale is this Friday.
Okay, saw your story. Yeah,
yeah, that'll be mid May delivery.
Okay.
So we got some time. I got a quote back for the wood, which came out to about $4,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're using the Lewis
Oak Hooch. No,
okay.
Lewis's prices were
okay.
I hope Oak Hooch isn't listening, but they weren't even close.
Right.
The cherry was relatively close, like within $1 per piece, which that's not bad. You know, we're buying. I figured for 280 pieces of each, so we have 30 extra pieces. And the walnut was like double.
Right.
So
I wonder if it's just because they're set up for that and they do it all the time, or
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they might just have access to some really cheap walnut. I don't know.
Because I bought some stuff for the laser, not like your quantity, but they have those like the seconds boxes for like $20. They'll send you like 30 pounds of wood, and it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, they seem like a good outfit. I know it's like a family, like it's just like one family that all like the kids and everything work there.
Right.
So Ethan is the guy that I deal with there. He's like, I guess, like the sales guy. Yeah, I mean, I've been happy with the material.
Yeah.
We haven't had like, out of 2,500 pieces or whatever that we bought, like only a handful were like truly unusable.
Right.
You know,
there were like maybe 3 boxes that were too sappy.
Yeah.
That we put in our seconds pile.
Yeah, we got to give you $1. Do you have one?
No, I didn't get one.
Yeah, we got to give you one.
Reach into the grab bag.
We got a couple,
Grab bag.
They're on the floor now. They were on that cart.
I was halfway here and I forgot I didn't bring you the revision to new friend stuff.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah, I got a whole bag of them.
Yeah, Keith is a laser guy now and a 3D printer guy.
Well, he can't be left behind. We know his personality.
Man,
he's just developing all those skills.
Yeah.
No friends, but he's trying. Yeah, that fiber laser looks cool.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of metal stuff, so I don't know if that'd be a good.
Me neither.
Yeah. I figure we know enough people where if we needed to engrave metal, we could get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, the bigger CO2 lasers can do like a little bit of etching, but you need like 150 watts, and then I think you need like an oxygen. I think you can cut some steel, but it's very slow, and you need like an oxygen assist or something.
Right.
Yeah. What's the off gassing like on metal? Is there any?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it's anything bad.
No,
because like when you use like a acetylene torch,
I guess it's mostly the plastics that are.
Yeah, like you don't put any PVC or anything
make,
like
death gas.
Yeah, like that makes like ammonium chloride or something.
Yeah.
That'd be good murder plot. You know, like you're working.
The Maker Murders.
I watch a lot of those British murder mysteries. Okay. Yeah, so they're always like, how did they die?
Oh, did you guys hear about where was it? Kansas City or something? Like these 3 dudes went over their buddy's house to watch the football game, and then nobody heard from them, and then they went to the house and they were all dead.
What?
Yeah. I think it was Kansas City.
I mean, Kansas City just played last weekend.
Let's see. Football fans found dead.
It was like one of the lowest temperature games ever played.
But the guy whose house it was alive, and it was like 3 days later, and the people show up, they're like, "What's going on? Like, we've been looking for you." And he was like showed up in his underwear to the door or some kind of thing. Authorities in Kansas City, Missouri are investigating after the bodies of 3 men who reportedly gathered to watch football were found outside a home last week on a day when forecasters said the temperature dipped well below freezing. The men, all between ages 36 and 38, were found dead the evening of January 9th at a house in Northland, northern suburb of Kansas City in Platte County. Kansas City Police Department told USA Today. Tuesday, police said officials from multiple agencies were working to determine how the men died. Spokesperson with Forensic Medical of Kansas, located in Kansas City, confirmed the dead as Ricky Johnson, David Harrington, Clayton McGeeney. According to information from Police Captain Corey Carlisle, on the day they were discovered, the fiancé of one of the men visited the home to check on him, found a body on the back porch, and called 911. Police, no obvious signs of foul play.
So what, they go out, get drunk, go outside, and freeze to death?
I guess.
Pretty freaking drunk, man.
Officers responded to the scene at 9:51 p.m. Police said, confirmed that there was a dead body, and upon further investigation, located 2 other dead bodies in the backyard. So 3 guys dead in the backyard. But the other guy, what does it say? Resident at the house was cooperative with detectives the day that the men were found dead.
He didn't know there were like 3 dead friends in the backyard?
This case is 100% not being investigated as a homicide, Bakina said. I think that's the police chief.
Is fentanyl involved or something?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Yeah. Let's see. No update. Yeah, like, your 3 buddies are dead in the backyard and you don't know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, they were here, but then they went outside and I didn't see them again.
There's something fishy going on there.
No foul play. Well, maybe we didn't find any signs of foul play, but it definitely sounds like foul play.
Yeah, or, I mean, real stupidity. Or, like you say, drug use.
Right. Yeah. 3 guys don't just die. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, where'd Dave go? I don't know. I'm going to check on him. Where the heck did Dave and Steve go? Let me go take a look. Doesn't make any sense. I got to see if there's an update. When's that article from? That's from 22 hours ago.
That can't be.
I get on Twitter. Everybody knows everything on Twitter.
Kansas City fans found dead. Families demand answers after mysterious deaths of Chiefs fans. This is what I'm talking about. A little more salacious. Family and friends are demanding answers after 3 men were found dead outside of a Kansas City home. Blah, blah, blah. 2 days later, the men were found dead in the backyard of the residence with no apparent signs of foul play. What are they expecting to find?
2 days. The guy who's survived and whose house it is doesn't report anything,
Family and friends believe circumstances around how these men died don't add up. I'm furious. Everybody is furious. Jennifer Marquez, the mother of one of the victims, said, nobody believes this story. None of his friends, none of the families, none of us believe it. Marquez says her 37-year-old son, David Harrington, went to a friend's house to watch the Kansas City Chiefs game on January 7th, but never came home. I don't know. Oh, friends and family say they made several attempts to contact the homeowner who hosted the football gathering, but they could not get a hold of him. Fiancé of one of the men went to the home, knocked on the door to no avail, and then broke into the house. Fiancé then reportedly found one of the bodies and called the police. Homeowner reportedly told police the men froze to death as temperatures dipped below freezing in the area. Kansas City Police Department said they are waiting for the medical examiner's cause of death for the 3 men before jumping to conclusions.
Oh my God.
I mean, I hate to laugh at the death of these guys.
Right.
The circumstances are ridiculous. Yeah, they froze to death.
And I didn't
call anybody. I mean, he's on the back porch. You haven't looked out the back door?
Right. I've never froze to death, but I think it'd be a little painful at a certain point where you're like, oh, yeah, I should go inside.
And I could see one, maybe one guy got so drunk that he
passed out or
something. And then the door locked or something like that. But 3 people?
And then you don't notice them for 2 days? You don't
Yeah, I haven't heard from Steve.
Even after an hour.
Right.
Text
him or something.
I mean, unless everybody got real fucked up. Maybe they must have been on some kind of drugs.
Yeah.
So they all pass out.
Three of which are outside.
And 3 guys are outside. And then the guy who wakes up inside is too afraid to call the police.
I mean, how long does it take to freeze to death? It's got to be a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'd probably go unconscious first for a while, right?
Yeah.
And then everything kind of slows down.
Well, why would they even go outside?
They don't want to
smoke a cigarette or something. I don't know.
Smoke crack inside. The wife yells at you.
Yeah. Clearly, this guy doesn't have much going on.
I'd really love to see some video of this to get a real picture of
the house and everything.
Of who we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could do that police body cam eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if the guy was home when the lady broke in. Like he was there, but she had to break in to get in.
Oh, yeah.
Because I read somewhere that she broke into like a basement window or something. Sounds awfully fishy.
It's completely fishy.
Yeah. No foul play. We're definitely not thinking about this as a murder.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Makes me think of like Fargo or something, that show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, John was just saying that. That was really good.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you ever saw as an EMT?
Oh, geez. Craziest is in like actual crazy people or
like somebody getting impaled with something?
Oh, I had a kid who had his face run over with a dirt bike.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they flew him out. So he lived, and we took the guy. So the guy was drunk on a dirt bike, hit the kid.
Wow.
And but
how young?
He was like elementary school.
Wow,
that's terrible.
But then they flew him out, and then we took the guy who hit him, and he had a open femur fracture.
Wow.
And what he did was unthinkable, but like the cops are just like beating the crap out of him, and then like you see the bone stick, you're like, oh geez, like it was a little much.
So he hit the kid and then crashed the bike?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So
that's what they crashed the bike.
Yeah. So is that
in the back room of the police station?
But I had like
he fell on these batons.
Yeah, that was like probably the craziest trauma. But I did a whole bunch of psych transports. And a lot of times when you get committed, if it's involuntary, they'll put you in restraints. And you read through some of these people's the paperwork. There's like an encyclopedia.
Wow.
And some of these, the funniest one I ever had was, well, I probably shouldn't say funny because, but the guy was arrested running around naked on a golf course. And he was screaming he was going to the White House to meet Obama for lunch. And
it probably wasn't even lunchtime, was it?
But like, and so then we pick him up, and he's in this is from one facility to another, and he's just in a hospital gown. He's like, I would give you a tip for the ride, but I don't have my wallet. It's like a comedian.
Is that something that like you get contracted out as like a first aid squad? They like.
So at that point, I was working for a private ambulance company.
Okay. Is that like Monarch?
I work for Monarch.
That's a private, right?
Yeah, so Monarch doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, wow.
So that was Monmouth and Ocean Hospital Corp. So now I think it's Barnabas or JF. There's like a couple major ones.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like the hospital has their own ambulance now.
Yeah, so I think what they did is the hospitals kind of come together in a collective, and then they create their own
cartel.
Yeah. I was working for a private ambulance company up in Somerville, and they did a lot of transports. So, yeah. And then that guy was like, yeah, so I need to have kids so I can harvest their organs so I could have extras.
Oh, my God.
I'm like checking the restraints. I'm like, this guy.
Like when you show up for that, like an involuntary
it's
transport,
horrible.
Are there other, like, is there law enforcement involved, or it's just you and another guy and you got to wrestle this guy in?
So if it's like, if you're taking him from like his home, usually there's some kind of domestic thing and there's usually cops there. If you're going from like facility to facility, they're usually not.
Yeah, they're in
he'd have to be like,
already, probably.
Wanted on legal charge. If it's just a mental health thing, it's usually
they just have like somebody just brings him out to So in those situations, like you're not actually, I mean, I could see that you the potential to provide care would be there, but you don't have any like you're not doing anything medically. You're more just transporting.
Generally they're not at the EMT level. Like two guys, like they're considered pretty much stable.
Mm-hmm.
If they're like a cardiac care or something, they're sending the advanced ambulance with a nurse and a paramedic and an EMT. So, but
like people that are going to like they're going from Monmouth Medical to I would say this transfer probably doesn't happen. Monmouth Medical to Riverview for a procedure or something.
Yeah, you'd be going to like a cath lab or like or like a burn center or something like that. But they're sending a critical care ambulance then. So yeah, they let the EMTs just deal with crazy people. So.
Here you go.
There was one guy who was, I forget exactly what it was, but he had been convicted of murder in the past. Like he just like murdered this family.
Not just one person.
And then I guess he did like his time and he got out and then he did something else and he was like committed and he was knocked out on Haldol, which is like a sedative. And we were going from somewhere to Trenton Psych. Trenton Psych was like, you don't want to go there. And he was in his sleep. He got out of one of their streets.
Oh my God.
I'm like an 18-year-old kid. I'm like, I'm jumping the hell out of here. If he's
My cousin's wife, I think that's where she worked was Trenton Psych, or it might have just been the prison.
Right.
But she was like a forensic psychologist where she, like was dealing intimately with these like criminally insane people.
So
that's wild.
Yeah. That's like, how do you leave that at the door?
I was just about to say that.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, I watch these.
We stay up at night.
Yeah. I watch these police interrogations. Yeah, we watched a couple in North Carolina where it's like a video of a police interrogation and like somebody doing commentary, and usually they get like attorneys and psychologists and stuff like that to make notes, and then they make a video about it. And some of the stories about these people, it's just like, sometimes people just snap. They're like, yeah, he just had a psychotic episode. It's like, but he killed his whole family.
Yeah. That's the ones you can't predict. Those are the scary ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a lot of mental trauma, over from 16 to 26 when your brain's still growing.
Right.
So
explains a lot, Ed.
Yeah. Plus the ADD stuff is like, that's just why this podcast exists.
How'd you get into EMT work?
So, my dad was a Jersey City fireman.
Mm-hmm.
And so like right after 9/11, you see everything, I got to do something. So then I got into Office of Emergency Management in Sayreville Fire Academy. But they never like let us do anything. We took all these classes. So then when you're 16, you can join the first aid squad. So then I was like, I'm going to do that. And then after that, I just didn't leave until I got a real job, So
how old were you at 9/11?
I was born in 86. So
you must have been like a sophomore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were in class when the towers came down. So
yeah, I was in seventh grade art class.
Okay.
I was teaching at Canarsie High School. We were all in school.
Yeah.
And the world was never the same.
Right.
No.
Well, that kind of brought the whole vibe down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, man, our generation's really living through some
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Global pandemics, post 9/11 world.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
on the brink of World War III.
Well, if you just turn off the news, your life's a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I avoid the news at all costs, but sometimes it just
happens.
Foists itself into your life, these things. You're reading, it's like, somebody with those Houthi rebels firing on ships in U.S. ships. I'm like, what are we going to do? How is this all going to work itself out?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we did a bunch of bombing, us in the UK, like whatever, last week. Yeah. I'll skim the headlines, like typically just on Reddit. Like I go to the news and just like kind of see, and then it's like if something piques my interest, I'll read an article. But yeah, like watching the news on TV is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially the Fox News people.
Oh yeah, and even CNN. Everything on CNN is breaking news. Breaking news. Right. I'm like, how is it? It's all breaking currently.
Yeah. It's the state of things. So, real estate and Jeff and I talk about this all the time. Like, me growing up, a single parent working, as a shoe salesman could raise a family and own a home.
Yeah, or like working the checkout at the grocery store.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like some people did that for their whole lives, and why shouldn't you be able to do that?
Right, it's a decent job. It's
well, yeah, at least it used to be.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. It's honorable to work, and
now you're either 16 or you're retiree.
Yeah. It's there's no end in sight. We were talking about this the other day where, I'd heard about it peripherally, but I saw some like real news and real data about these Wall Street backed institutions purchasing huge swaths of homes.
Oh, the whole Zillow thing, right?
Like BlackRock and I forget what the other. There's a couple other ones. Just these investment. I'm speaking outside of my knowledge, but these big investment firms basically buying up all these single family homes.
Like in a neighborhood, like there was a neighborhood that gets built, and they bought all the houses, 243 houses. They just bought them. Yeah,
and then they get to set the rent and whatever.
It should be illegal, I guess, but I don't know how to frame that. In a free market, like how do you do that? But it's certainly, altering the market space and the quality of life for mostly young people.
Right. Yeah, like how can you afford anything when that kind of stuff's going on?
Or there's just no opportunity.
Right. It's not available.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think the number of houses for sale and versus the number of houses that are for rent, is probably the swing has been greatly towards renting because, like our landlord, for example, I don't know how many residential properties he owns in this town, but, he just came after, a couple years after Sandy, bought a bunch of properties, and now he rents them out.
Yeah.
Not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but, there needs to be some protections for regular people too.
Yeah, protections. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Because we were here in Sandy, like right across the street, and then you see all those lots. You're like, oh man, I wish I wasn't broke.
Yeah,
just buy everything onto them.
He bought this for like $190,000 or something. It was a dump.
Yeah,
he put, I don't know, let's say he put 100 into it over the years, which I'm sure it's not. Even he put a roof on it. Really, that was
taxes,
it.
Right?
Yeah. And there's a vacancy penalty in Keensburg, so he's paying his penalties too. It's not a ton. It's like $5,000 or something. But and now what's our rent for the year? In 3 years, it'll
pay for it.
In 10 years, it would be totally paid off.
Right.
Yeah, and we're paying the taxes.
Yeah. I know you said you had a meeting at 2:30.
Yes.
I don't know if that means you have to leave here at a specific time.
I have a little bit more. Probably from here at like 1:15. It should be
okay.
Right.
Tell us about the Scouts, man.
Oh yeah,
so the Cub
Promo
Scouts.
the Scouts.
Yeah, so scouting. I'm a Cub master for my daughter's Cub pack. So in case anybody didn't know, the Scouts take boys and girls now.
Mm-hmm.
So I deal with the Cub Scouts, which is elementary school, and it is it's a character development program at the end of it, but we do a lot of outdoor stuff, citizenship. There's some science stuff. Like it's a pretty well-rounded program. The little kids, they usually meet twice a month. Then we go on trips. We go to the police station and the fire department and those kinds of things. But we like to get the kids together outside of school, and they create new relationships, and we do fun stuff. And then it's all in preparation for them to be the productive members of society. You know,
we could use a couple more of those.
Yeah. Get them over here and give them all a broom.
Yeah. So
we're gonna learn today. We're gonna learn about sanding,
right? But yeah, we go over like responsibilities and duties, and it's you know, a lot of it's kind of getting them to realize like, hey, it's not just them in the world. It's there's other people too, and can't do things without people. You know.
Yeah.
So I've went to a lot of training for the Scouts. So I did their wood badge class, which is it's a leadership training that was developed by Carnegie Mellon.
Wow.
So it's 5 days in the woods. Like it starts like 7 and it ends at like 10 at night. Like it's intense. And then you actually have to do sort of like a thesis. You have to create projects that you have to do yourself that define your view of where you fit in scouting. So I completed the class. Now I'm currently working on my they call them tickets. And then, you know, I get to wear, once I complete the tickets, I get to wear a different colored neckerchief. So Scouts love pins and patches, man.
Yeah.
So
tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah. So a lot of it, one of my views is because I was a Scout as a kid and I got so much out of it. Like my best friend, just like lifelong memories and skills too. So my whole thing was like repaying the program for what I took. And a lot of it was kind of trying to make the cycle repeat. So kind of cementing things that, you know, for future generations. So I have some improvements with like our pack technology and website and stuff. One of the things is like when you go camping, like my view is one of the best parts is the food.
Yeah.
So in talking to people, and I mean, you can see my manly physique here. I'm probably pretty experienced with that.
We're right behind you.
Yeah. So like a lot of people just do hamburgers and hot dogs and they're like stressed out. I'm like, man, you did like some basic equipment. You can cook some incredible stuff in the woods.
Oh yeah.
And you ever watched Andrew Zimmern, the Bizarre?
Oh yeah.
So his whole philosophy is you can go to a person who's a different culture, a different country, maybe even different language. But when you sit down and break bread with them, like there's this bond that there's this fellowship and you're sharing. True. So that happens in the woods over a campfire when you're cooking whatever, right? So I'm going to put together a class. There's what's known as University of Scouting. And it's a peer-led kind of thing where somebody says, oh, I know a lot about this particular subject. I'm going to create a class at like 45 minutes to an hour. And so one of the things I'm doing is like meal planning, right? And when I took over this role, I was thrown into it and I had to figure out like 3 or 4 different menus because I have vegetarians, Indian vegetarians, you know, no restrictions. I have no beef and pork. And I have some kids that are just picky. So it was about like finding things that you could do to create one meal with different variations, you know? Like there's the classic that they teach everybody is the spaghetti meatballs, right? You cook the sauce and the spaghetti and the meatballs separate, take what you want. But then you can do chicken meatballs, you can do halal meatballs, throw garlic bread in there, you throw a salad in there, and then everybody just takes what they want, right?
Right.
But, you know, you go on 3 or 4 campouts and you're eating spaghetti meatballs, it gets a little old, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, we eat that at home. You know?
Right.
Like, let's eat some camping food.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. The past leaders kind of set us up equipment wise. So we have a trailer I pull up there. We have a Blackstone. We have a Camp Chef burner. It's like 30,000 BTUs.
Oh.
Like, yeah. So we can do almost anything. So I did pizza in the woods on the Blackstone. Did mac and cheese, chicken fingers. I think we did tacos, and like, and maybe the little kids don't care so much because they're just running around finding rocks and stuff. But when you when you connect with the parent, you're like, no, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's not what we're eating or what we're doing. It's this quality time.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're going to remember, you know? And then like you wake up in the morning and like, it sucks the first night or 2 in the woods. Like you're sleeping on the floor, you're used to a Thermarest mattress, you know? But then there's like hot chocolate and coffee and like you watch the steam come off the lake. You're like, oh, like I get it now.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you can't tell them, you have to show them. You know, so like that's one of the things I've been doing. Some recruiting things. So traditionally for the past 100 years, unit would have a recruiting night, and we'd put on all our pins and patches and look like fake generals and be like, come to our meeting. But families who didn't grow up with scouting are like, what are these weirdos doing?
Yeah. I will say there was always like, and talking to you has totally changed my perspective, because we've talked about the Boy Scouts, like, I don't know, half dozen times,
right.
like in depth. I'm like, this is lame. Like, you know, I go play in the woods by myself. What do I need to go to the Boy Scouts to learn, you know, but not understanding what it's actually all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, from an outsider's view, it totally is weird and lame. But like when you start looking at the reasons why we do things and the lessons we're actually teaching, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound bad at all, you know?
Yeah. It's like, this is like it's not just dicking around in the woods. There's real.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, we teach them like fire safety and knife safety and survival and you know, there's a lot of like life lessons there too. And like if you look at the history, there was a guy named Sir Robert Baden-Powell. He was an English general. He finished up his military career like right before World War II, and he spent a lot of time in Africa. And then when he got out, he actually created scouting as a world peace program. And he thought that the youth was the method to get to this world peace. But because he was a military guy, a lot of the stuff he created was like military-esque. Yeah. Right. And but if you actually go back and read a lot of the stuff that he's written, is like scoutmasters should have the attitude of an older brother. Like, we want them to have fun and we want to teach them stuff, but we also want them to fail. Because if they fail in this program, that means they're not failing later at life, because they'll learn from it. Right. So we'll give them like the little animal patches and everything, but there's a process there. And even just things like, why do we wear the uniforms, right? So one, it's an equalizer. So if everybody looks the same, there's no more social economic differences. Two, it's a responsibility because the kids are supposed to keep it in good order. Three, it's a platform for them to have some achievement, because the more badges and stuff they earn, they can display that and be proud of it. Right. So like on the outside, you're like, what are these weirdos doing? They're all wearing the same thing. But when you get into the mechanics of it, you're like, oh, that actually makes sense. You know, so like even a lot of that stuff I didn't even realize as a kid, but then coming back as a leader and you know, seeing it from the other side, you're like, oh, that's why I did that for 10 years. You know, so there's a lot to it, and I think it's a great program. It's just like, you know, there is those bad actors that did, like, there's no denying it, that happened, right? But they did irreparable harm to all the leaders that did their job and all the millions of scouts that had great times.
Yeah. It's like that in anything. It's a microcosm of society. Right.
So, but you know, and then there's rules and there's changes, and like that you're doing the best you can to keep everybody safe. So it's like, don't discount all the good that happened because of the bad stuff that happened, you know? Like I can't, like, no adult leader is ever alone with a kid. So there's always at least two adult leaders, and everything's conducted in plain view. There's nothing's private. Like, you know, even if you have to like send an email to somebody, there's at least two adults on it. Like, so it even goes into that level of detail.
See if the Catholic Church can adopt that.
That's the problem too, right? Because the Catholic Church was charter organization for a lot of scout troops.
Oh wow, really?
So everything that was going on over there, a lot of it got unfortunately
dumped on.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Catholic churches that are not renewing their BSA charters. So then all these kids and all these leaders that did absolutely nothing wrong now have nowhere to go, and then you got to scramble to find a new charter org, or the unit dissolves. You know.
What like if somebody who's listening wants to get their kids involved, what's like the time, financial commitments? So, how do they find
go to beascout.org and you put in your zip code, and then especially like in the Northeast, there's a lot. Yeah. And then you'll have a contact information, and then you just call the leader or their representative and go to a meeting. And, you know, if you're lucky enough to have a couple around, go to all of them and see, because there's like with any group, there's like a vibe. Yeah. So if you go to a meeting, you don't feel right, go to a different meeting. Right?
Yeah, you might show up and the leader's like a real militant kind of, and then, you know, the other.
So every unit's going to have their own dynamic. Like some are very outdoor focused, some are very community service focused, some are skills based. So you just got to find the right one that's for you and your family. For the registration, you're looking at about $100 a year. But if that's an issue, there's a lot of councils that have what's called Friends of Scouting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's alumni and businesses and charitable kind of, and usually there's enough money there where if you need help, all you got to do is ask for it. So there's a mantra that, money should never be an issue. So, I think every kid should be at least exposed to scouting.
Yeah. And, those are the kids who need it the most.
Exactly.
Likely,
Yeah. So scouting's not for every kid, but every kid should at least go to a meeting or two and see if, and it helps if the friends are involved too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the little kids. And then, I think every scout master or scout leader would be like, yeah, at least try it. If it's not for you, that's fine, but probably you'll like some aspect of it.
Yeah. They do like open house kind of things, or it's just like if you're interested, you could just go to a meeting.
It depends on the unit. I would say most Cub packs, sure, you could probably just go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just call the guy or email him, and then they'll set you up.
Where are the meetings held?
It depends on the unit. Like my pack meets at a VFW.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like firehouses, sometimes at schools, but they're local to the community. It's depending on where you are.
And then there's events, I guess, that encompass multiple.
Yeah. So there's, usually those are council level events. So like the camporees, for like the fifth graders and older, there's a Klondike Derby coming up. So usually that's in like the February area.
Oh, that's like a bobsled thing or something?
They're like,
about that.
They're like dog sleds.
Dog sleds.
I'm gonna
and they pull the...
Yeah. So instead of dogs, you have the scouts, right?
The scouts, you work as the dog?
Yeah. So it's like
I think we were talking about that. You were here around that time last year.
So I'm building another sled for the girls' troop, and I got some old skis from Facebook. And so the whole thing is it's a scout skills competition. So every patrol is competing against each other, and they have what's called towns. So there's like fire starting town and first aid town and cooking town. So they have to put all their gear in the sled and pull it around. And it's modeled after there was a really bad Alaskan blizzard in like the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way they could get medicine to these towns to get the sick people better was dog sled. So they take that theme and then create it, 100 years later. And then we make the scouts compete against each other. But it goes back to that, like, we want you to actually fail at these things so that you learn. And then later, if you ever need it, you know how to do it.
Yeah. God, that must be hilarious to watch.
Oh, yeah. And dude, the girls are like scary. Like when they get going, it's like, I'll just step out of it. Here you go, man.
Get aggro.
Yeah.
I remember third grade, we did like a whole thing with the Iditarod. Big.
Wow.
Yeah. Like we followed the whole thing through.
Right.
I forgot that was even a thing until just now.
Yeah. And there's so actually for the adults, I heard there's rumor of Patriots Path, which is the council I'm in, doing an adult pioneering weekend. So pioneering is when you get like trees and tie them together and make like arches and stuff. So there was one a couple of years ago where the older scouts did it, and they did block and tackle, right, like engineering rigs, they lifted the Rangers truck off the ground.
Oh wow!
So there was rumor of them doing that for leaders to go and learn. So
like making shelters and stuff, or
more like structures, like fire towers and yeah. So
that's cool.
I maybe not on the podcast, but I could show you the pictures that I have of what they did. So yeah, it's kind of cool because now as an adult, I get to go back and do stuff that I had fun doing as a kid.
Yeah, and it's good to have an outlet.
Right. This is like my church. Like because there's a fellowship there. You're kind of interacting with people and kind of it's a part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah,
those are important lessons.
Yeah. So and it's like as a leader. Like the week leading up to it, you're like, I'm making plans and this, and then you get grumpy. And then like when you see the kids and then like you give them the lesson and then they get it, you're like, oh, okay. Like that's why I do
the
that.
reasoning. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I like what you had to say about the food. I used to do a lot of camping when I lived out west. And I always swore that the best food you ever have is when you're camping because you have that hunger and those shared experiences.
Yeah.
And
I watch a couple guys on YouTube, like one Australian guy, one guy from New Zealand, a guy who lives in Alaska, and they make these videos like I watched one last night. A guy went out for like 5 days in Alaska just with a backpack, and you know, and he, like you could see him eat, like, you know, and then he cooks, and it's like you can see him eating, and it's like that's like the best, you know, that food tastes the best out of anything because of the situation, you know. You worked hard all day, you've been hiking, and you know, it could be something simple, but it tastes so much better because
get a little ash in there.
It's
a little dirty. So,
what do you call those little coffee pots? Those
mocha pot?
Yeah, like the silver ones. I have one that's makes 1 cup, and I used to bring it with me on my backpack, and everybody would say, "What are you bringing that for?" But then in the morning, I'd have that thing going over the fire.
Oh yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, you think you can make me a cup?" Like, no, I don't really have enough.
I think I'm gonna do pour over, because then all I need is a big kettle of boiling water, and then I can do hot chocolate or if people have different coffees. Because I was doing the percolator, and I usually burn it.
Yeah.
So,
I had a buddy who had this is his mom's house. He had a percolator, or his mom had a percolator, and you know, this is like in like early 20s. You know, you go out and get drunk, and then wake up in the morning and have that percolator coffee. It's good.
Those old like tin percolators, with the little glass knob on the top.
Yeah,
you'd see it bobbing up there. Yeah.
Well, you got any final words for us?
Thanks for having me. I mean, it's kind of cool.
We're glad to have you. We've been trying to get you on for a while.
I know, it's
a while.
like
it's tough.
With mostly with the kid, right? So but yeah, it's cool. Like, you know, you guys as professionals, then hobbyists, it's like this ecosystem that like everybody's kind of equal, and like you guys help us out, and so it's cool to finally get here and, you know, do the podcast.
Yeah, we're just regular folks.
Won't be the last we see on the podcast, I'm sure.
Okay. Yeah. The ADD podcast. We're just talking about Band-Aids and politics and 9/11.
These are the best episodes. Just imagine what we're going to get into in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. You start that Patreon podcast.
Oh my God, we didn't do our sponsors.
Okay.
Real quick. When you need the right saw blade for the job, put your trust in Ridge Carbide Tools.
That's right, because for over 50 years, Ridge Carbide has been producing industrial saw blades designed with exact specifications for the cutting results you expect.
Before you buy, call Ridge Carbide and they'll help you determine the right tool that meets your needs and budget.
And after the sale, Ridge Carbide provides sharpening services for all your saw blades, dado sets, router bits, and jointer planer knives.
Located in Kansas, Ridge Carbide Tools provides high-quality products with outstanding customer service at a fair price. What are you cutting? In the beginning, I held this up so that I would remind myself that we wouldn't forget it.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got to talk about our sanders.
Yeah, we want to thank you, Nita.
We did use those quite a bit.
I don't know. I just blanked. My brain just totally blanked out.
Yeah, we did a lot of scuffing.
Yeah, no, those 3x4s are, I mean, they're super handy. Matt, actually from First Two, just got one. Corey, I know, bought one not too long ago. They're, it's one of those things where you really don't know what you're missing until you've tried it.
Yeah.
You tried it at Maker Camp.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe that's the best application, like
but
a picture
just like
frame.
The form factor, you're like, oh wow, like
it's like holding like a baseball, you know, and it's super easy to control.
Don't get the same fatigue.
Yeah,
you know, if you're really at it all day.
Yep, I usually turn it down to the second lowest setting because it's got three settings. The first setting draws such little power that the vacuum doesn't kick on. So I can't use it on that, but yeah, I use it in that middle setting.
I gotta try that.
Yeah, it works great. So thank you to Unita.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, at that we will see everybody next week. I was thinking about hitting up Walter, maybe seeing if he wants to come on. I don't know, it's a little short notice, but
yeah.
I'm trying to get another guest. We're shooting for as many guests as possible this season.
Right.
People enjoy it, and we enjoy it.
Yeah, people are sick of hearing just us. Like, well, in the shop we did this.
Yeah.
We're pretty boring.
Right. Well, then the guest makes the content, right?
Exactly.
Be here.
Yeah.
It's like having a talk show, you know,
like so Ed.
Promoting my book next time we're here.
So check out Ed on Instagram. Check out buttjoints.com. That'll bring them right to your Instagram, right?
Currently, yeah.
Yeah, so just go to buttjoints.com.
And if you have any interest in the Boy Scouts.
Send me a message.
My son has expressed some interest in the past, so see if he's still into it.
Yeah. They're fickle, the kids.
Oh, I know. And the interests are so fleeting. Well, see you next week. Thank you.
Take care.
We truly appreciate you listening. If you want to support the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share the show with your friends or consider subscribing to our Patreon. We'll see you next week. Yeah!